When you order a bike online from mec.ca, it comes in a big box, like this. Every bike we sell is first built and safety checked by a mechanic, and then repackaged for shipping. This video aims to help you get up and running as smoothly as possible with general guidance. However, your bike may differ from those shown in this video. Be sure to check the instructions that came with your bike for specific information. Before you start, there are a few things you're going to need: a blanket, a multi-tool or torque wrench with 4, 5, and 6mm hex keys, an adjustable wrench or a 15mm pedal wrench, scissors or cutters, a Phillips and Flathead screwdriver, and a bike pump, preferably with a pressure gauge. If your bike has suspension, you'll also need a shock pump. For kids' bikes, you may need a 13 and 17mm open-ended wrench. Finally, you'll need grease or carbon paste for your seat post. Bike tools and accessories are available on mec.ca. Open the box and remove the bicycle parts and the small parts box. Carefully remove any other packaging, such as foam or cardboard. When removing the plastic protectors from the wheel, be careful not to touch the disc brake rotor, as the oils from your skin can impact the performance of your brakes. If you don't own a bike stand, then you can balance your bike on the box it was delivered in while you're working on it. Before attaching the handlebars, ensure the fork is facing in the right direction and that the brake cables aren't twisted. The handlebar stem should be facing away from the rider. If you have disc brakes, then the caliper should be on the back of the fork. If you have rim brakes, then they should be on the front of the fork. If your stem faceplate is not attached, then look inside the small parts box. If it is attached, then use the multi-tool to remove the screws and take the faceplate off. Use the guidelines in the center of the handlebars to center them on the stem. Then, place the faceplate back on and tighten the screws by hand. If you feel any resistance, then back the screw off, realign, and try again. Next, use the multi-tool to tighten each screw. At this stage, leave enough room to adjust the final position of the handlebars. Then, make sure the handlebars are centered and tilted so that the brake levers sit at about a 45-degree angle. Once you're happy with the position of your handlebars, tighten the 4 screws in small increments, moving a cross pattern until all 4 are locked down. Keep an eye on the spacing. As a rule, you'll want to ensure the spacing is even on all sides of the faceplate. Tighten until you feel resistance and the multi-tool leaves a small imprint on your hand. Then, check that the handlebar is secure. Before installing your seat, take note of the minimum insertion line on the post. The seat post must be inserted at least this far into the frame. You'll also need to apply grease or a carbon paste to the post or drop post. As a general rule, you'll need to use carbon paste if either the frame or post are made from carbon. Otherwise, use grease. If you're not sure which to use on your bike, then check the manufacturer's recommendations or give our service center a call and we'll be happy to help. Once installed, lock the quick release or tighten the bolt on the collar and check that the seat is secure. If your seat post is made from carbon, it's very important that you do not over-tighten it. If you have a torque wrench, then tighten it in line with the manufacturer's recommendations. If you don't, then tighten it until there is enough resistance to leave a small imprint on your hand. First, lay a blanket on the ground to protect your bike. Flip the bike over and rest it on the seat and handlebars. Your wheel will either have a through axle, which threads through the holes in the fork, or a fixed or quick release axle with dropouts. If you have disc brakes, you'll need to remove the plastic stopper. Once removed, make sure you do not touch the brake lever until the wheel has been installed. Doing so may cause the brakes to seize up. Slide the rotor between the caliper pads. If you have a through axle, slide it through the frame and the wheel and tighten by hand. Then, select the right hex key and tighten it until there is enough resistance to leave a small imprint of the tool on your hand. If it's a quick release axle, you'll need to install the axle first. Remove the adjusting nut and one of the springs. Install it into the wheel and replace the spring so the narrow end points in towards the wheel. Hold the quick release lever and tighten the adjusting nut a few turns. Now, match the tire tread to the rear wheel and slide the wheel into the dropouts on the fork and tighten the adjusting nut. The quick release handle should be on the opposite side to the drivetrain. You'll know it's tight enough when you feel resistance with it about halfway closed. Make sure the lever is secure and does not touch any other part of the bike, as this may prevent the mechanism from locking, and then lower the brake release. If you have V-brakes, you'll need to close the brake system. Insert the J-bend into the catch lever, and then remove the dust cover so that it protects the end of the cable. Test the brakes to make sure they are working correctly and that the brake pads line up with the rim of the wheel. Pedals are not always included with your bike. Pedals are left and right specific, with the left pedal sitting beneath the rider's left foot and the right pedal sitting beneath the rider's right foot. If the pedals aren't marked for left and right, then you'll need to check the threads. On a left pedal, the thread will angle up to the left. On a right pedal, the thread will angle up to the right. Before installing the pedals, check the small parts box to see if you need to install pedal washers between the pedal and the crank. To install the pedals, you'll need to thread them in opposite directions. The right-hand pedals thread in clockwise, and the left-hand pedals thread in counterclockwise. Tighten by hand and don't force anything. If it becomes tight, back it off and try again. To finish off, use the adjustable wrench or a pedal wrench to tighten the pedal. Some adjustable wrenches will be too thick for this, so having a pedal wrench from the start can save you some time. Don't over-tighten, as that can strip the thread. Repeat on the other side and you're ready for some final checks. Flip the bike over and start with the handlebars. Check that each of the bolts is firmly in place. Then, stand over the front wheel and try to push and rotate the handlebars to make sure they are secure. Next, stand over the rear wheel and try to twist the seat to check that it is secure. Then, check that the pedals are secure. Check the quick release or bolts on both wheels to make sure they are secure and won't open easily. Check the tires. Many pumps come with a built-in pressure gauge. You want to match the tire pressure to within the recommended PSI range that is printed on the side of the tire. As a general rule, the max PSI will offer a smoother ride, and the minimum PSI provides greater grip and will absorb bumps. Last but not least, check the brakes by pulling on each lever separately to ensure the lever and brake are working properly. If you have any difficulty or doubts about assembling your bike, then it's best to seek professional advice. Come into your local MEC to speak with a qualified bike technician, or, if you don't live near a store, give our service center a call. When you first take your new bike outside, give it one last check for comfort and braking, and then you're good to go. Happy riding! For all things cycling, visit mec.ca or visit us at your local MEC store.